for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Tuesday, February 6th, the Montreal Canadiens beat the Washington Capitals by a score of 5-2 on a couple of goals by Nick Suzuki and a couple of goals by Juraj Slafkovsky and even a goal by Michael Pezzetta. So the first game after the All-Star break and the first game after the Montreal Canadiens trade Sean Monahan. And if you're thinking, you know what, they just traded a very good player, this team is going to be down, they're going to be demoralized, they're going to be dejected. No, they were not. Much to the delight of my buddy Mario Charpentier, who says, Tony, il faut jouer pour gagner. The Canadiens were jouer pour gagner tonight as they scored 3 goals in a span of just over 14 minutes and chased Charlie Lindgren from his goal. Kemper came in. It made no difference. They even gave Ovechkin a goal. It didn't matter. Max Pacioretty, unfortunately, was stoned by Samuel Montembeault, who once again came up big when he had to come up big. It is the Sick Podcast. I am Marinaro, and I'm going to be with you probably till about 11 o'clock. It is right now 2 minutes past 10 o'clock Eastern, and the Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Also brought to you by these guys, brewed in Quebec and a winner of a dozen international awards. La Bitte ATB offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bitte ATB, embrace your true nature. Also brought to you in part by Playground. Over 30,000 square feet of new gaming, dining, and entertainment space. It's time to reacquaint yourself with Playground. World-class sushi, AAA steaks, live shows, a brand new poker floor, and so much more. Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. Playground. Playground, experience the Strip without the trip. And of course, also brought to you in part by Accent Insurance Solutions, because you all know that insurance isn't created equal, and you know where to find the right solution for you. Accent Insurance. Accent doesn't sell insurance. They shop insurance for you to find the right product right on the money, whatever your insurance needs, home, automobile, or business. And every time I see the phone number, I think of my buddy Sergio Momesso, war number 36, because of course you can call the Accent team today. Their number to call is 514-363-3636. He is a regular collaborator on Tuesdays. I haven't talked to him in a while, though, because it's worked out that way, and I'm happy to talk to him tonight. Actually sent out a tweet a couple of days ago that actually made me laugh of Kent Hughes taking a selfie with all of his draft picks. Former NHLer, former Montreal Canadien, Maxim Lapierre. Maxime, comment ça va?
What's up, Tony?
Ça va bien, et toi?
Ça va bien. About time you gave me a chance to come back on the podcast, you know? Was I suspended again?
No, you were not suspended. As a matter of fact, at one point you were supposed to join us, but I think you were going out for filet mignon, scampi, seafood. And so I said, hey, Max, I completely understand. I would go out if I was you too. By the way, I love the Poche Bleu colors. I love them. Yeah. Can we exchange a hoodie and I send you one of your choice and you send me one of those?
Do you want my hoodie with the new picture I took a few minutes ago? Or
Oh, yeah. You can show the picture with your phone, by the way, if you want. Go. Put your phone to the camera.
That's what I'm going right now.
Yeah. Do it. Put your phone to the camera. There you go. Right before the show, there's Tony.
I got him.
Eating cottage cheese. Cottage 1%. I should add 1%. Cottage cheese and Melba toast. All right. There's my pre-show snack. There you have it. All right. Look.
Be pumped.
I'm not going to say I'm surprised by this win because they didn't take on the Soviet Union tonight. I really don't like the makeup of Washington's team right now. Without Backstrom, without Kuznetsov, who's enrolled himself in the player assistance program. Our best wishes go out to him.
Yep.
A Max Pacioretty, who's coming off an Achilles tendon twice in the past couple of years, who's not the same Max Pacioretty, and Alexander Ovechkin, who scored tonight, but obviously his production has dropped tremendously. So I'm not shocked because I don't like Washington's team all that much, but they did surprise me with their first period. I mean, their first period was amazing. Your thoughts?
It was. I think it was a great effort, great group effort. I think it was easy to come in the game tonight and just act like, oh, we traded Monahan and season is over. We're just gonna tank right now. And I actually liked what the leadership group did tonight. Like starting with Caulfield, Suzuki, a little later in the game, Slafkovsky. Like if that's our first line, that's. I don't want to disrespect anyone, but that's our only line, basically. Like that's going to be there when it's time to win the cup or make the playoff one day. And it's not about the stats, it's not about the goals, but it's about the effort. And I like when Caulfield is skating that way, and I like when Suzuki is sound defensively and is playing a great game like a leader, like he did tonight. That's awesome. That's a good news, I think.
Yeah, all right, okay. We're going to get to Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovsky, and even Samuel Montembeault, and so many others, by the way, because there was a lot of really good stories tonight, and really, I thought, heart and soul performances by some. We're going to get to them. But before we do, so we can get it out of the way, Sean Monahan, unfortunately for him, his Winnipeg Jets came out with a defeat in his first game. They were shut out by the Penguins in Pittsburgh. You did not like the fact the Montreal Canadiens traded Sean Monahan. You've been on the Sick podcast on several occasions. Of course, everyone has a chance to hear you on La Poche Bleue, and they have a chance to see you on GEC show on TVA Sport. This is a veteran that you appreciate a lot. This is a player that you like a lot. You were willing to sign him up to a contract and extend him, and his trade was disappointing for you.
Yeah, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that it's dramatic right now. Like there's also like that. I feel like in Montreal, we always think there's one option, and that's the only one, and then it's a disaster. I wanted to keep Monahan. I think he's a great veteran. I think he brings the same thing. You know, like right now we're talking about Savard, and we're like, we cannot get rid of him. He's too good for the young guys. For me, it was the role of Monahan as a forward, and I explained myself. It's because of the young wingers. You got Slafkovsky, you got Caulfield, probably going to get another one at one point, and you need a center. What happens this year is if Suzuki gets hurt until the end of the year. Who is who is Caulfield going to play with? You know, like I don't want to disrespect Jake Evans, but this is not how you're going to make your wingers grow as players. That being said, I think it's a great trade now. We got a first-round pick. It's not necessarily the first-round pick that is great. Is that we have 2 this year, 2 next year. And from what I've seen in the past with Kirby Doc and those kind of trades, I think we're going to go somewhere. And I'm pretty sure that the management is going to go get assets. That being said, again, they need to be a little older, the guys that are coming in. They cannot be 18, 19, and we cannot wait for draft picks because – you know, we were saying that Monahan is 29 and he's going to be old when it's time to win. Well, it's going to be the case with Suzuki and Caulfield. We think they're so young right now, but I don't think they have that much time to wait for picks for 3-4 years. They need guys that can help in the next 2 years.
I hear you. I think part of your disappointment, though, is also in the fact that, you know, the Canadiens have been unlucky now for several years in a row with several injuries because if Kirby Doc doesn't get injured and Alex Newhook doesn't get injured and Nick Suzuki, we know him that he's an Iron Man. I think he's played something like about 350 straight games here or so. If those guys don't get injured and you say, okay, you trade Monahan, who do the young guys play now if Suzuki gets hurt? Well, they can play with Doc or they can play with Newhook in the short term. But because those 2 guys got hurt this year, you know, I understand you thinking the way you're thinking, but at one point, you know, the Canadiens are going to have to get lucky here with injuries because they haven't been lucky with them for the last 2.5 years. So I think there's that to consider. Are you one of those that holds hope that Monahan will sign back in the offseason?
No. I think if you look at it, I think he gave us a better chance maybe that is in Winnipeg now. If he was in Vegas or Colorado, I would say no chance is coming back. There's a little 10% hope, I would say, but it's rare. It happened to Plekanec a few years ago, but like he loved Montreal. He played here his whole career.
Doesn't
Hey,
happen often.
if he does, good news. If he doesn't, well, it's time to move on. But my thinking right now is if we took that decision, why are we going to keep everyone else, every veteran? Now for me, it's a wholesale. Like if you get rid of Monahan, might as well sell everyone until the end of the year.
Does that include Mike Matheson?
Anybody except obviously the young prospect and Slaf and Caulfield and Suzuki. I don't see who's untouchable in this team except the core. Let's say the core, the Kirby Doc and all these guys. Why?
Well, okay. So I have an argument. I'm going to tell you what it is. At the forward position, there are veterans on this team. They might not be important players, but there are veterans. There's Brendan Gallagher, there's Josh Anderson, there's Yoel Armia, there's Christian Dvorak, and I know he's hurt. There's a couple of veterans, not many of them, okay? But there's a couple. But if I take a look at the blue line, and you have Matheson and you have Savard who are veterans, but after that, Gooley's young, Strubl's young, Harris is young, Xhekaj's young, Barron who got sent out, he's young. There's so many young guys that it's probably more important to surround the defense with some older players because most of them are young compared to the forwards, or I don't know, maybe it just seems that way, or maybe if you think about it, considering that there's 2 times as many forwards as there is defensemen, maybe it's the same amount of young players and the same amount of veteran players. I really haven't, put pen to paper to write it down to think about it.
I'm just trying to think, like, at one point, you're going to need to trade some defensemen for forwards. Like, I don't think we're that deep at the forward position. Like, if you look right now, there's not many guys from Laval that can come up and have a role in the top 9 players. Like, at one point, we're going to need these guys. And tonight, and that gets me mad, and you know it. But tonight I look at a guy like Xhekaj. Xhekaj plays 12 minutes. Like, are we not like developing our players right now? Is it not like a reconstruction? Like, are we not supposed to give ice time and let him make his mistake?
You know what's happening, Max. Max, you know what's happening. Marty St. Louis is trying to win the game. He's trying to make the playoffs. As much as we think it's not going to happen, that's what he's trying to do, right? So Xhekaj is the defenseman that he finds the least reliable, very unfortunately.
Yeah. And
so it reflects in the ice time that he's given. Matheson, 27 minutes and 8 seconds. Savard, 23-21. Gooley, 22-48. Struble, 17-57. Kovacevic, 14-13. Arber Xhekaj, 12-29 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, what are we doing with him right now? Like, what are we doing? We have one of the rare type of players, and I 100% understand what's going on. He's not perfect on the ice.
Yeah.
Like, he makes mistake and all that. But when I watched him tonight, and he doesn't give one hit, and he doesn't try to do like that third line over there with McMichael or whatever, the guys, they were all over the goalie all night. He's not like, you feel like he cannot even do anything.
I know what you're saying. Well, I'm going to answer. Look, so I'm going to answer your question by saying part of me understands whether we like it or not. And obviously he probably doesn't. He's the number 6 on this team right now when he's in the lineup. But I understand what you're saying. You're saying what my buddy George Larac said about 2 months ago, that he had this fear that Marty St. Louis has denaturalized Arber Xhekaj. And when Xhekaj gets recalled from Laval and picks up 3 penalties in his first 2 games, and he feels the need, the first thing he does when he goes in Friday morning at practice to go to the coaching staff and say, guys, I'm sorry, then unfortunately he probably has been denaturalized, and that's too bad.
Yeah, we took a bull, we sent him to Laval, and came back a little sweet rabbit. That's what happened. It's sad. It's sad because you're supposed to work with.
It still commands respect, though, Max. The Canadiens were up by 3 goals several occasions tonight. I didn't see Tom Wilson going after anybody.
Exactly. He didn't go after anyone, but I think Xhekaj is a better hockey player than just a tough guy. I think, like, I hear so many things like, oh, we should try him on the 4th line on the wing. Oh, we should send him back to Laval. What about we just let him play? Look what happened with Slafkovsky. You got the perfect, and it's not the same type of player. Obviously, you got a first overall and a guy that was on a trial, but let him play 20 minutes, see what he's got, see if he can get his confidence back. And then if it doesn't work after 5-10 games, just send him back to Laval. I don't care, but give him a fair chance. Like, why are we playing Kovacevic more than him? Kovacevic does great stuff for the team, but where is Kovacevic going to be in 2-3 years? He's not going to be here. He's not going to play with all the defensemen coming here. Not a chance.
Are you worried? I know you'd like to keep Arber Xhekaj here for a very long time because, like you just said, he's unique in his skill set, what he has, and his DNA and his identity. He's unique.
Yeah.
They don't value him right now as much as somebody like you does, as much as somebody like my buddy George Larac does. George is convinced that Arber is going to end up being moved. Do you feel the same way?
Honestly, I don't know anymore because it went so fast in his case. Like he became like the sheriff of Montreal, and everybody loved him. And then every teammate and the coaching staff looked like they were like, finally, we have a player like that in Montreal. Then send him to Laval.
Yeah. But when you hear Marty say, "On veut faire des vedettes sur la glace et pas en dehors de la glace," do you think there's a subtle message there at all that Xhekaj's popularity off the ice was somewhat of a distraction or a bother to some of the Canadiens staff?
I don't know. I don't know. For sure, like, people don't like that when a player that doesn't have a major role in a organization take that much space. That's for sure. Like any team in the league. Okay, so that being said, I think they need to realize that he's 22 years old. Like, I feel like he's getting the treatment of a veteran player that just came in a team, and we're like, he's a 32 years old, and we don't need him that much. Like, we've been talking about development the whole season. What about him? He went to Laval, he came here, took a penalty, got healthy scratch the next game. Then he came back in the lineup, took 2 penalties, had to go say I'm sorry to Marty St. Louis before practice. I really don't like where it is going. I'm not saying he's Paul Coffey here. I'm just saying, like,
I hear you.
Give him a chance.
But is it possible that they're not putting the same onus on his development because they probably think that he's got a very limited skill set and a very limited ceiling?
Well, that's not, maybe, but that's not what I'm seeing. And I'm going to ask you a question. Okay.
Yeah.
If he was a first rounder, how many minutes would he have played tonight? Right.
He would have played. Played 20 minutes.
He would have played 20 minutes because he's a big guy hitting. He's got a good shot, like he did again tonight, hitting the post. That's the business, man. He doesn't have that tag of a first rounder that's going to get the chance to get all the chance in the world. And you know what I'm scared of is one day he's going to play for Philadelphia or Boston, and he's going to be like hitting everyone, fighting everyone, blocking shots, being unreal in the PK. Great at doing a first pass with a good shot,
and he'll be a rock star in any one of those cities. By the way,
you know who he reminded me of? He reminded me of François Beauchemin. Remember? He came to the camp.
Yeah, of course.
Nobody knew him. Came to the camp, got rid of him. He was a tough guy. Same thing. Went to Anaheim.
Max François Beauchemin was a heck of a defenseman. He can play 25 minutes a game.
I know, but not at the beginning.
We're talking about a workhorse here.
Yes, but not at the beginning.
Not at the beginning. You're right. Not at the beginning.
Yeah, I
hear you. Well, that's. I understand you're not exactly comparing the two, but you're comparing situations. But
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's quite a. Okay, let's talk about Suzuki. Let's bring up the lineup first, if we can. Actually, let's bring up the lineup for the Canadiens. All right, Suzuki in between Slafkovsky on his right, Caulfield on his left, Gignac with Anderson on his right, Armia on his left, Evans with Yolonen on his right, Pearson on his left, Condora with RHP on his right, Pizzette on his left, Matheson, Gouli, Struble, Savard, Xhekaj, Kovacevic, and of course Samuel Montembeault at the starting goal. Let's keep this up, the lineup, if we can, for just a minute here. Gignac, 14 minutes and 54 seconds. I thought he played with heart. I thought he played with energy. I thought he played with aggressiveness and a relentlessness without doing anything special. I liked what he brought to the team tonight.
I like his speed. And if you look at the lineup right now, that's what we
Good on
need.
the forecheck, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, we need guys that can forecheck, that can back check with speed, and every time they make a mistake, they can recover. And I watched this game. That's his second game in the NHL tonight, and first one in a long, long time. I think he's going. I think he's going after Evans' job if they give him a chance.
Do you see a little bit of you in him?
Yeah. He's a guy with speed. I think he's obviously not a first line type of player, but he's got the skills to be like a guy with a lot of skills on the third or fourth line. I think he's you can trust him defensively, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's one of the biggest weaknesses of the Montreal Canadiens. It's been for a few years now is the speed. We need speed. Like you look up front, Slav, Suzuki, Caulfield, they're great players. They're agile on the ice. They can turn, twist, and turn. But if you talk about pure speed on a straight line, we don't have that in the lineup. Look at Armia, Pearson, Evans, Hillinen. We don't have that. And we need speed. That's the new NHL.
Anderson has it.
Yeah.
Newhook has it.
Yes. So when we have them in the lineup, but you need speed, Tony, especially on your fourth line, on your third line. If you're gonna be able to play against the best players in the league, you need speed. You have no choice.
Condata, to a lesser degree than Gignac, I thought played a good game as well. 10:34 for him. He was a +1. I thought he was pretty good. Mike Pezzetta, scores a big goal in this hockey game for the Canadiens. We'll get to that in just a minute. So why don't we get to the score sheet? We don't even have to look at Washington's lineup. I don't even think it's important. Let's get to the score sheet right away. All right, okay. At the 6:42 mark, Caulfield with a beautiful pass, cross-ice pass to Suzuki. Fantastic. And I don't even know what was nicer, Suzuki's shot or Caulfield's pass. They were both equally nice because Suzuki puts it up and over Charlie Lindgren. Beautiful. The second goal comes, 57 seconds later. This is the Xhekaj shot that you were talking about. He has an ability to get his shot on net and to release his shot very quickly. Sometimes a wrist shot, boom, just gets it on net, goes off the post. The rebound comes out to Suzuki, boom, he jumps on it. 2-0 for the Canadiens. And then 5.5 minutes after that, Raphael RV Pinard, I think it was Van Riemsdyk who tripped in the corner. A loose puck went to RHP, who got it to Pezzetta, and Pezzetta with a quick wrist shot, far side, beats Charlie Lindgren. And that was the end of Lindgren's night. By the way, Lindgren's been having a really good season, playing really well. And the Canadiens chased him out of his net by scoring 3 goals in a span of, 6.5 minutes, not even.
Yeah, well, that's good for the kid. Since he went in Washington, he's a pretty good goaltender. But that being said, to come back to there's one point that's interesting here is...
Tell me.
I don't want to talk about Washington, but I was a little happy that Ovi scored a goal tonight. You know what? Because I feel it's sad. It's sad to see him on the ice right now, surrounded by all those players. I felt bad for him. I felt bad for Patch. Guys they look slow. They look banged up, and they were such good players. And I
don't feel bad.
And sorry.
You want to know why?
What?
Because this is a team, the Washington Capitals, that went through a certain rebuild to draft Ovechkin at 1, to draft Backstrom at 4. They had their run. They won their cup. Their cycle is over. Unlike Pittsburgh, they didn't keep it going by keep on trading, whatever. Their cycle's over, and with Backstrom and Kuznetsov. So not that I don't feel bad for them. Hear me out. Is that they had their time, right?
Yeah, but I don't care about the team. I care about Ovechkin. Yeah. I want him to beat the record. I think he's and I don't think he's going to accomplish that in Washington. And I just went during the game.
I agree with you on that.
I was looking at Wayne Gretzky. That's the record is going after. Wayne, he changed team, and at the end of his career, he wasn't scoring 50 goals a year. It was 25. 20, 19, and he was surrendered, but by good young kids, whatever it's Graves, Kovalev, all those young players with the Rangers, maybe not that young, but you need. He's a shooter. He needs a passer, and right now he needs to go He's not going to beat the record if he stays in Washington. That's what I want to say.
You know what? That was exactly my point earlier this evening on TVA Sport. JC asked me, is he going to beat the record? And I said, not in Washington. And he said, is he going to beat the record? And I said, well, not in Washington because he's not playing with anybody anymore. He has to go somewhere else or he's going to get someone to feed him the puck, surrounded by a better team where he could be like a complimentary player and not like have all the onus on him. Because right now you just put two guys on over. There's no one else who can hurt you on that team.
No, it's terrible. And this is where
it's really bad. Actually, let's bring up their lineup. Let's bring it up. I said, you know what? So people can see it watching on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter Live. Dylan Strome with Tom Wilson and Ovechkin. Dylan Strome did give him a nice pass in the game, but Connor McMichael after that with TJ Oshie and Pacioretty. Zgarbosa with Mantha and Prota. Dowd. By the way, I like Nick Dowd as a fourth line centerman. With the Nicolas Aube-Kubel and Melanson and Sandin Carlson, February, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Joel Edmondson, Nick Jensen, and Charlie Lindgren. I mean, that's a bad team, man. That's a bad team.
This is when you realize that Backstrom and Kuznetsov are very good centers. You know, like Ovi, obviously he scored the goal himself, but still had somebody to feed him the puck and some pretty good players anyway.
Okay, so Ovechkin scores after in period number 2 on a real good pass from Dylan Strome, and I thought Savard was sleeping on that one, but he redeemed himself later on a Washington power play. Montembeault was down and out, and the puck goes right to Max Pacioretty, and Savard blocks it, a huge block. In the third period, Slafkovsky with a quick wrist shot on a pass by Matheson, and then Sandin gets a goal for the Washington Capitals, and Slafkovsky with his second of the game on the power play on a pass from Suzuki and Matheson. That one there. He let it. Actually, the first one was on a pass from Evans. The second one was on a pass from Matheson, I think. But the second one on the pass from Matheson, he just let it rip. He let it rip. We've been wondering about his ability to shoot the puck. Grant McCagg's been telling us he's got a pretty good shot. He's got a better shot than you think. On that second goal, he shot the puck pretty well, Max.
Yeah. No, nobody talks to me about Logan Cooley, right? And I haven't heard.
No, we're not talking about Logan Cooley right now.
No, yeah, but it's been 2 months. I don't hear about him, right? Because everybody was talking to me about Logan Cooley and Shane Wright. Sorry, man, you don't get picked first overall. It's not about luck. You got about 50 people watching every game all around the world. If you're picked first overall, there's a reason why, and I'm so happy that they were patient with him. And Marty St. Louis gave him confidence and worked with him. That's the result. And tonight we have the perfect example in our team. And I'm not saying it's always like that, but it's not because you send a guy in the minors that he comes up and he's better. And you look at Xhekaj, you look at Slafkovsky, you got two different ways to manage a young player.
Yeah.
And guess who's doing well right now? Slafkovsky. Patience. You're rebuilding.
You're right.
Patience. Give him the chance.
Mind you, you know that Logan Cooley's got 3 more points in 2 less games.
Yeah. Well,
but Slafkovsky's playing very well, so it doesn't matter. You understand? But Slafkovsky's playing very well. Like there's no complaints, you know?
Yeah. And it's not about the points, it's about the way he behaves on the ice. He's good with his stick, he's good defensively, he's not scared to try to block shots, he's good on the forecheck, he's a big body, protects the
puck. He's got the head up, he's not getting rocked.
And a lot of people won't like what I'm saying right now.
But
I think he's more guaranteed to be a first liner in the NHL than Suzuki and Caulfield when we're going to have a team that's going to be ready to win.
I'm okay with that.
You okay with that?
I think I can see where you're coming from. He's a first pick overall. Neither of them are. One's a 13, one's a 15. He's big, he's strong. He plays a 200-foot game already as a winger. Not a lot of wingers do. His confidence is growing every game. His shot is evolving. His passing is evolving. His skating is. When he skates, he eats up the ice. I can hear the ice grunt Like he eats it up, yeah.
I cannot wait. I know one day it's gonna happen, and I'm sitting here watching a playoff game in the second or third round of the playoffs, and we're all gonna be, wow, this guy's a monster. This guy is hitting. He's probably gonna fight at one point. The other day when he fought in Buffalo, he loved it. He was cut in the face and he was dying laughing, like, wow, that's a fun feeling. So he's not scared of that. This kid's got character, and he's gonna be a leader as well. And I think I heard he's a great teammate, always laughing, always great with the jackpot.
Yeah, he got punched in the face and he was bleeding and he was laughing. It's fun. Yeah, no, it's not fun for me, but hey, if it's fun for him. No, but listen, it was fun to watch tonight, to see him smile like that. He was having fun. He was feeling it, and that's a big time game for him. I mean, there's what, just over 30 games left in the season. I like the answer that he gave too the other day. Right, he was talking about what was it? He was talking about Monahan, and he said, "Yeah, you know what? We're gonna miss him, but there's over 30 games to go here, and we want to make the playoffs." And what was it? I think it was someone asked him, "You're going to be playing." Was it him that said that? I think it was him that answered. Went to the question. Somebody said, "You're going to be playing Washington, and they still feel that they can make the playoffs." And I think it was him who said, "Well, we still feel we can make the playoffs too." I think it was him. I'm not sure, but anyway, if it wasn't him, let's just say it was him.
That's a good news, because it's okay for people, you and I and the rest of people, to say they're not going to make the playoff inside the dressing room. Though that's not allowed. Like, if you have one guy saying we're done, he doesn't belong in this team in the future. Like, even Chicago right now, in their head, they should think like we're going to make a magical comeback and make the playoffs. That's the attitude you're supposed to have in pro hockey.
Hey, Montreal outshot 38-26. It's not like Washington played a great game, but they did start poured on in the last two periods. They had 16 shots in the second, 17 shots in the third. Montembeault, man, at one point he made a couple of saves that were unbelievable. Yep. What was it? The one in close off of Dylan Strome. I think it was an amazing save. Montembeault is looking really good, man.
Yeah,
really good.
You know what? I cannot stop thinking about a comment that Marty Brodeur did on our podcast a few weeks ago, and he was saying, like, basically
that was a great one, by the way. That was a great one.
Yeah, he said it doesn't exist anymore, those first goalie like Price or Fleury that they just stop everything. He said every goalie right now is basically the same, and I feel like Montembeault fits that type of goalie, like Hill in Vegas. The big goalies that are making the key save, and maybe not that spectacular like Price or Vasilevsky were. I think he's right up there with one of the goalies in the league that is going the right direction and getting better every year. Like, I cannot wait to see how good he's going to be next year and the year after, because let's not forget, like, it's the first year he's really a first goaltender, and he's got the right amount of ice time to evolve as a goaltender. And I still, we're talking about Brodeur, but I can talk about Luongo. When he came here, Montembeault, and we picked him up, I texted him and he said, great skills. Like, this guy is unreal. He's a good goaltender. We just have no room for him. And he's showing that right now lately.
So one of the first comments you made earlier this evening was, with all due respect to all the forwards on the team, out of the guys that played tonight, when this team is going to be a cup contender, only Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky are going to be there. When this team is going to be a cup contender, Samuel Montembeault going to be there?
That's going to depend on what's happening in the next 2 years in his career. Like, if he keeps getting better every year, he's making a solid case for himself. But we all know we got that kid. I think it's Fowler and
Fowler. Yeah,
like I heard our friend Whitney from Spittin' Chicken.
Ryan Whitney, yeah. I think he exaggerated a little bit, eh?
He said he's the best goalie since Dominic Hasek. So
no, he said that he's unbelievable. He went to see him play versus BU, and he said he's Patrick Roy, Carey Price, Dominic Hasek, and Marty Brodeur all in one.
Well,
I'm willing to bet that he's not. Patrick Roy, Carey Price, Marty Brodeur, Dominic Hasek all in one.
If that's the case,
he's going to be the best all time.
we're gonna have a lot of fun in Montreal in a few years.
He'll be the.
I think you never know.
I know you said. I know you said we'll see the next couple of years from Montembeault, but based on what you had said before that,
yeah,
you believe in him, eh? You think he could?
I think it's been solid. He's got a winning record this year, right? If I'm right.
Listen, off the top of my head, I think he only had one bad game all season, the one in Boston.
Yeah, exactly.
Like every other game, like if he got, it's not because there were a couple of, but it's not because they lost because of him. I mean, he plays for a very, very average team.
Yeah, if like for me, it's easy to compare. Let's say to Vegas when they won the cup, right? Who would have said that Hill would have been the number one starter and just stop every single puck? You know, like they had 5 great goalies. They were talking about Thompson, who's the next future best goaltender in the league, while he was hurt or sitting on the bench, and now Hill is number one, and he's having another great season. So I feel like goalies, you need to give them time. Normally, like they're starting to be dominant in the NHL when they're 27, 28. So that's right on target for Montembeault.
So my buddy Mario texted me before the right after the game. I have to read this one to you. You're gonna like it. You're gonna love this one. Hold on a second.
I'm ready.
Wow, quel match! Avec cette attitude et cette belle cohésion d'équipe, le CH va se tailler une place en série cette année et surprendre tout le monde. On joue pour 500 et on est à seulement 8 points des Red Wings et des Leafs. Ça, c'est joué pour gagner. So I wrote back. Ils feront pas les séries, Mario, mais j'aime ton optimisme. En passant, les Caps sont pourris. So I said, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, Mario, but I love the fact that you're pretty optimistic about it. And I said, and I think the Washington Capitals are awful. And he says, his slogan is, on a tous un rêve. We all have a dream. So my question to you is, let me take a look at the standings. We know that before the All-Star game, the Canadiens had played 49 games. They had 48 points. To make the playoffs, you need to pick up about 96 points, I would say. Correct? About 96 points.
Yeah.
Right now, the Red Wings in Toronto, like Mario said, are at 58 points in the first and second wild card spot. The Islanders have 54. The Penguins have 53. The Devils have 53. The Capitals 51. The Canadiens 50. So the Canadiens are 8 points behind the Red Wings and the Leafs. Mind you, the Leafs have 2 games in hand on the Canadiens. Any chance whatsoever, in your opinion?
Well, listen, there's always a chance in hockey, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. Just the fact that there's too many teams fighting for me, they're fighting for one spot. I don't see all the Leafs are going to lose that until the end of the year. I think Detroit is going to get better. Detroit is 6-2-2 the last 10 games. Kane is getting in season shape now. They had injuries. They had suspensions. I think the Islanders are going to do better with Patrick as a coach. I think they're coming together right now. They won last night. Pittsburgh, you know what? Pittsburgh won 2 in a row. They're playing better. And New Jersey, I don't think they should be there. New Jersey should be a playoff team. They had a really tough start. No, they're not going to. They might pass Washington. I don't think they're going to do better than that.
All right. What does Tanner Pearson bring to the table?
I don't know.
Took a couple of penalties tonight, and
to be fair to him,
I saw him on the power play there. He gave me heartburn.
He had a great start. He had a great start to the season. He had a few good goals, like good shots. I wonder if a team, if he gets better in the next few weeks, I wonder if a team wouldn't try to sign him. Yeah, to trade for him. You know, he's not going to be expensive. He's a guy that won the Stanley Cup. I think he's a good guy to have on the fourth line in a winning team. If he gets in game shape right now, he doesn't look in game shape to me. I think he doesn't look like the player he was at the beginning of the year. But why not? You know, why not? We're talking about trading assets. Why not get another pick for him for a team that wants this type of player?
Yeah, I wonder though if tomorrow morning he's got to go in and he's got to say sorry for the penalties I took, and I wonder if he's going to play the next game.
Well, the Sheriff wouldn't play. Right?
The Sheriff did not play after he took those penalties. No.
Yeah.
On that Saturday night, he didn't play. Speaking of not playing, Jordan Harris.
Yeah. You know what? It's
doesn't have an X factor. Good player. What's his X factor? Is he a big physical? Is he a big guy? No. Is he a hard-hitting guy? No. Is he a physical guy? No. Is he a great offensive defense? No. Is he a great defensive defenseman? No. Is he a smart player? Yeah, maybe that's his X factor, but it's not going to be enough. For a team that has too many defensemen and a lot of young ones, just being a smart defenseman without it won't be enough.
Yeah, well, it depends, Tony, because there's so many factors coming in play in a few years. First of all, there's the salary cap, and you're going to need these type of guys that are just stable and they don't make mistake on the ice and they won't cost that much money. Because you won't be
His name is Struble.
Struble is got more upside. Like he's gonna be important if he keeps going that way. Like he's solid, he's physical, he's smart, he's good first pass, he's a good skater.
I love Struble. I love Struble.
So you're gonna need those type of defensemen like Xhekaj or Harris that are not gonna be that expensive. Because when Caden Goulet signs here his extension, that's gonna be an expensive one, right?
You would have to think it's going to be an 8-year deal.
Yeah, it's
the way Suzuki signed an 8-year deal and the way Caulfield signed an 8-year deal, you'd have to think Caden Goulet is going to be signed to an 8-year contract extension.
Fun fact here, and I know like everybody's got a different opinion, but I really trust as a defenseman. Chris Letang told me that of all the guys, you remember last year he skated with the Canadiens during the summer.
Yes.
And he says when he plays against Montreal, when he skated with those guys in Montreal, the guy that reminds him the most of himself is Harris.
Whoa.
So
Harris.
Yeah. That's confusing because we have our way to analyze, but as a future Hall of Famer, and he says he reminds me of me when I was young, Chris Letang. Obviously, I don't see Harris making that many points and all that, but if he sees something in him as a skater, and what am I going to tell Chris Letang? No, you're wrong.
No, I know. Well, I would say you really think so. Like Jordan Harris can't quarterback a power play. I mean, Christopher.
Hold on here. I'm not saying that. I want to make sure you know that Chris said that.
Yes, I understand that.
Probably see something we're not seeing, like the skating ability and the vision and the hockey IQ. Like when you think about it, Harris, I don't see him as a top 2, but I think he's a good skater. I think he's a smart D. I think he's still a young guy. Let's give him time. Why not giving time? That's why I'm saying that guys like Madison and Savard, they're probably the best players on the team on D right now, but are they going to be here in 3 years? Like I see Madison that I love.
They will not. They will not.
But like he skates like the wind. He's unreal. He's got points. Yeah. I'm so happy. He's in his hometown. But is he going to be here? And he's playing 28 minutes a night.
I don't think so. So I think that David Savard will be moved next year before the deadline. And I believe that Michael Matheson will be moved the year after that before the deadline. Having said that, Pierre Maguire has joined us from time to time on the Sick Podcast. And he's got an interesting opinion on Mike Matheson because I asked him if he would trade Monahan. He said yes, and they did. And then I asked him if he would trade Matheson, and he said no. And then he said, Mike Matheson is a guy from here who wasn't drafted by the Canadiens, obviously was drafted by Florida, was moved to Pittsburgh, had his ups and downs with Florida, had his ups and downs with Pittsburgh. He gets traded to the Canadiens. He starts playing some of the best hockey of his career. And if you keep him here for the rest of his career, this will be a great selling point that Matheson could talk to other players around the league and say, hey, Montreal's not all that bad. It was amazing for me in my career. And he believes it's one of those guys also because being a local guy, that it would be right for him to stay here. It's an interesting opinion.
Well, I love Madison Tony. Like, I think he's a great, like, he fits right there with defensemen in 2024, the way the game is played. What I'm saying is, right now, he's used as a offensive defenseman. Let's say we keep him and everything goes like it's supposed to go with Mayu and Hudson. What's his role then? He's going to be a shutdown defenseman on the third pair?
Eventually he's going to have to, well, as he gets older and those guys start coming. But by the time those guys arrive, Max, and they're able to eat up a lot of minutes, we're talking at least 3 years, Max. So let's just say they arrive next year.
Yeah.
2 years.
You got to be patient with him. He's probably not going to be here when it's time to win, but well, at the end of the day, there's no rush. I think he's doing a great job for us. But for me, like, everything has a price in life. And if you get the phone call and there's a great offer on the table, it's gonna hurt. But sometimes it's gonna hurt to go get good players.
So let me ask you, why do you want to see Ovechkin break Gretzky's record?
Why?
Yeah, I'm curious.
It's fun. It's fun to see that, like, a guy that's shooting the puck.
It's fun to see guys break records. Yeah,
like
Gretzky was our guy growing up. He was the great one. I don't know. I wouldn't cry if Alexander Ovechkin does not beat Wayne Gretzky's record. After I know it sounds bad, because even Gretzky himself says he'd love to see Ovechkin break his record. Look, I think if Ovechkin doesn't break the record, I think he's still the greatest goal scorer that we've ever seen.
He's going to break the record.
I actually think Max Lapierre was a greater goal scorer than Wayne Gretzky, but Gretzky had the longevity, played as long as he did, but even if he doesn't break Gretzky's record, I think, considering the speed of the game now and the quality of the goalies, and I think Ovechkin's the greatest goal scorer of all time. But I agree with you on one thing. Unless the Washington Capitals are willing to keep Alexander Ovechkin till he's like 50 years old, and even if he plays 5 minutes a game only on the power play, unless that's not going to he's going to have to get traded to another team, or else he won't beat it.
Or they need to get a center.
Or they need to get a center. Even his shot, though, why he was they put him at the point a lot tonight. He had nothing on that shot on the point. He's got to go back to the face-off circle. Like, he won't score goals from the point. I mean, that puck was fluttering a lot.
Yeah, well, a lot. You need
By the way, he's an old 38, though, There's some guys that are 38 going on 35. Hey. He's 38 going on 41.
I know, but have you ever seen a guy playing that many minutes and hitting people and shooting the puck? Like,
he's a freak of nature.
Like when they won the Stanley Cup, like, he was hitting like 10 guys every night.
He's
he's playing 25 minutes. No,
it's unbelievable.
I knew he was going to break at one point, but I wasn't expecting it right now. Like, I thought you had 1 or 2 more years. Like,
yeah, I did too. It's because he got old in 24 hours. It just boom. It was, and what happened here? All right, okay. Is there anything that we haven't touched on? That one last word you'd like to get in here before we call it a night?
Let me check the lineup. I know, I'm thinking about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about Struble, right? Struble.
I love Struble. I thought he played great tonight again.
He's a sound defenseman. He's smart.
I thought he played really good, Struble, man. Thought he played really good. Hey, Armia played 1932 tonight.
Yeah.
Showcased.
I don't know. Did you show anything?
No. But I mean, there's no other way to explain it. I mean, why would you play Yoel Armia for 19 minutes and 32 seconds?
Yeah.
I mean, how else can you explain that?
I don't know. Did you see Anderson tonight?
Invisible.
Seriously, he played 15 minutes. Do you think it's
invisible.
Normal?
Invisible, Josh Anderson tonight. Invisible. I didn't even know he played.
You see, that's the thing we need to stop in Montreal, is always be so happy when a guy plays one good game every 2 weeks, and just remember that part. We need to start wanting some players that are showing up every night. It doesn't matter if you score or not, but you need to look at the game sheet and say, oh yeah, he played a good game, even if he did nothing. He hits, he blocks shot, he does something.
The guys that they brought in, they're not the biggest guys, they're not the strongest guys, but tonight with Condora and Gignac and Pizzetta and RHP, I saw some tenacity.
Yeah.
I saw some tenacity. I saw gamers out there. They, we know it's limited. We get it. But you know what? They haven't had an identity of those kinds of players in a long time. Yes, they could still be bigger. Yes, they could still be stronger. And yes, but there was something there. This is a team that they're going to work. They're going to work between now and the end of the season. They're going to work.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Gignac got called up. This kid, he deserves it, this kid.
Of course. And you know what? In Montreal, the fans, they know hockey. And you see the difference when these guys are on the ice. They work hard. So why is it not the case for veterans on the team that you look at and we all think about it. We're like, okay, well, he had a bad game tonight. He's not showing up. Why are we keeping these guys? We've been talking about changing the culture and starting winning and making the playoffs.
Because the whole league knows what they're about, Max. Who's going to take them? Who's going to take Josh Anderson with 4 years left at 5.5?
I know, but my point is we got to stop just taking players to take players. We need character. We need hard workers. And we cannot tolerate in our organization to take guys that show up when they decide to. Everybody thinks you need superstars all the time to win, but you also need players that show up to 82 games a year and that the coach can look at and say, he's going to do the job tonight, even if he doesn't score. We don't have that. We have too many passengers. And I got enough of overprotecting those players that, like we do the same thing with Armia. He's going to score a hat trick next week. We're going to say, oh, he's good. And then you don't see him for 2 months. We don't need that on our team.
Pierre Maguire brought up a name a couple of weeks ago on the program. And here's a guy who is he's a fourth line player and he doesn't put up big numbers. Third line player. Doesn't put up big numbers, but I love this guy, Brandon Duhaime of the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah,
that guy there is he's a big time worker, former 4th round draft pick. He does not put up big numbers, but he's a heart and soul guy. He goes into the corners. He can play either wing, works really hard. I like him a lot. Hey, I want to get to my accent insurance moment of the game, or we'll call it a turning point of the game. I have a couple, but would you agree with this? A big time turning point in this hockey game was the way the Canadiens started and Nick Suzuki picking up 2 goals in a 57-second span, or even the Canadiens scoring 3 goals in 6.5 minutes and Charlie Lindgren gets chased, because at that point, it didn't matter how Washington was playing. They weren't going to come back and beat the Canadiens after they were up 3-0.
You see, right? We're going to talk about Suzuki's goals as a turning point, but I'm going to say it started with a Slafkovsky back check, and then they turned the puck over, and that was a goal for Suzuki. So for me, that's exactly the type of hockey we need in Montreal.
He is part of the Uri Slafkovsky fan club. Grant McCagg is the president. He is the vice president. He's Max Lapierre of La Poche Bleue, which goes tomorrow night, correct?
Yes, exactly.
What do you have planned on La Poche Bleue demain soir?
We have a little comedian, Arnaud Soli, coming tomorrow. A very funny guy. People love him in Quebec. So sometimes we don't just talk about hockey. We like to have fun as well.
8 p.m. on YouTube?
Exactly, 8 p.m. on YouTube.
And Facebook of La Poche Bleue. We'll be watching, Max. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Merci beaucoup. I love this guy. Maxim Lapierre of La Poche Bleue and of TVA Sport. Once again, the Accent Insurance Solution moment of the game. Let's get to it.
Accent Insurance moment of the game.
There's 2 of them that stand out for me. Nick Suzuki scoring 2 goals in a 57-second span to give the Montreal Canadiens a 2-0 lead just 7 minutes into the hockey game. That's one. If not the other is Mike Pizzetta making it 3-0. Canadiens scored 3 goals in a span of 6.5 minutes and chased Charlie Lindgren from his goal. At that point, there was no coming back. At 2-0, the Capitals weren't coming back. At 3-0, they definitely were not coming back. And that's it. And that's your hockey game. The Montreal Canadiens win by a score of 5-2. The Canadiens, of course, will be off. They're going to travel back to Montreal, and they're not going to play until this weekend. And on the weekend, of course, it will be the Super Bowl matinees. On Saturday, the Canadiens host the Dallas Stars at 1 p.m. And on Sunday, the Canadiens host the St. Louis Blues at 1 p.m. I want to thank all of you, my Sick Army, my Sick community, everyone on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter Live for being there tonight. All your comments, all your engagement, all your enthusiasm. I love you all. Merci beaucoup. For Agnello, Sammy, and Juliana and Master Control, who are in Vegas, I will be back tomorrow. And my guest tomorrow on the Sick Podcast will be Eric Engels of Sportsnet and sportsnet.ca. Tomorrow night, same time, same place. Thanks for watching. They're Cavallaro. I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.